I'm going over some photos from yesterday and about to send them off to my sister. And these are photos that I took in sort of a candid photo documentarian mode at my family's Christmas at my sister's house. And I thought it would be useful to maybe talk about what I do on a day like that that gets the photos that people really like. Now, I'd like to show you these photos, but I can't because they're not mine to share. They're of my nephews and nieces and family in that family moment of Christmas, and that's not a thing to share on social media, as far as I'm concerned. If you do, it can be your choice to do that. I choose not to volunteer that for other people, particularly for children who are preschool age. And anyway, when I do this kind of camera mode, photographer mode at an event, and I share the photos with people, they often are really happy with what they see because they're getting a different kind of photo than they're used to getting from a family gathering. And I think one of the easiest ways to understand the difference in what I'm doing and what you might be able to do if you want to tap into this mode versus what you're used to seeing is that if you think about a wedding, and there are the wedding photos that are these 12 people in a standard arrangement posed and a photo is taken. And those photos have value. People want them. They want to frame them. Those portrait kinds of things, that's a thing. But there's this other thing, which is capturing the look of pure adoration between the bride and the groom during their first dance, or capturing someone absolutely laughing unself-consciously and vulnerably at a joke, of catching someone making their most genuine smile because they were happy about something. And in that moment, if they are self-aware about their photo being taken, the bubble pops. And that's sort of the thing, is that most people taking photos do so in the first mode, the portrait mode, and therefore end up with a lot of photos that miss the magic of people being who they really are themselves in that moment. And there's really only a couple of things that I think make a big difference. Now, when I'm talking about this, I was shooting, I did shoot some film yesterday, and that actually turns out to help with what I'm doing, which I didn't realize until I went back to shooting some film. So I brought my Hasselblad medium format big camera, right, the film camera, and I also brought the Canon 5D Mark IV. And one of the big things that I found to get photos like this of an event, is to get people to ignore or forget that pictures are being taken. And it turns out that the film camera helps that because it is so conspicuous that you take some photos with that. And then when you switch over to the other camera, which is much quieter, much less obtrusive, it's much less noticeable. And some of that notice is, like, I shoot with like a 28 millimeter or sometimes a 24 or even wider on it, which means I don't always have to hold the camera to my face in order to take a photo and get what I want. I've got an instinct for where I can aim it and get what I want. Now, sometimes it ends up blurry, but I've found people who will actually want that blurry photo more than the sharp one because that blurry photo captured that magic look on someone's face that they have always wanted to hold a copy of. Anyway, so by the big film camera, early on in the event, establishing that there's going to be obnoxious camera stuff around, but then that one stops happening as much. The other one isn't as noticeable. And that can also happen with, like, if somebody's taking pictures of a big, clunky, loud thing, people don't notice the camera phone photos as much. They don't notice the less obtrusive ones. And also, if you front load the event with a bunch of pictures being taken, it gets people used to the idea that pictures are being taken, and they stop. It starts to become too much to try to pose for them, and so they drop that. And that's when you can really move into this other mode. And so it really is about sort of finding a way to fade into the background. And a lot of people tend to do that by trying to like withdraw. And it actually works better to like desensitize to the camera's presence than it does to hide the camera. And in doing so, you get a lot more of what you want. And the other big one is, like I said, the wide angle lens, and developing an instinct for how to use your camera with a wide angle lens so that where you aim it, you get what you're after without having to hold it and draw attention to that action. And that's what, if you study the great street photographers, the photographers who did a lot of that, walking down the street and taking photos of what the people that they saw, a lot of those folks did their best work without holding the camera to their face. They did it at waist level, or they did it with sort of just looking like they were fiddling with the camera in trying to fix something, and then took a shot. Now, that can be a creepy kind of a problem in the public, but those techniques, when used in a family gathering where everyone has consented to photos being taken and photos being shared, could be a very different thing. And that's sort of the key to it, really, is to get people to stop paying attention to the camera as an activity unto itself, as in we are taking a picture. And instead, they play the dice games that they wanted to play, which is some of what happened yesterday. And the preschool kids were just playing veterinarian. I bought my niece, who's going to be in kindergarten next year, so she's 4. Got her a little pet carrier with a stuffed corgi and a whole kit of veterinarian things. And so we were just playing veterinarian, where she would come and I would bring my corgi into her, and she would treat the corgi, and we were having conversations about the treatment for this dog. And that whole time, I was shooting photos. And some of these photos are amazing. They're great. They're really good stuff because I caught these kids being them, just their real self. And it is such a different look from the ones that are posed, where you say, all right, sit in the chair, we're going to take a picture now. And they put on their fake smile. And these photos are not that. And I believe most people want the kind I'm getting. And that's sort of without being able to show you these, my quickest explanation I can think of for how to do it. And then you also have to shoot a lot of them. You're going to end up with a bunch that are blurry because you didn't catch what was in focus. You need to shoot, like, I shot 250, 350. I'm not looking at the numbers at them. I mean, I can see on the screen where they're here, but I can't see the total number. You have to shoot a lot of photos, and you're going to throw away, set aside the vast majority of them. But even if 10% of them are good, which is kind of a number that happens a lot, those 10% are magic and are worth holding on to and keeping around. So give it a shot the next time you've got an event coming up. Maybe have multiple people with cameras, some of whom are there just to sort of get the, oh my gosh, there's so many photos being taken at the beginning of this event. And then when that dies down, the person who's actually going to be doing the mode I'm talking about takes over and does a thing. So you will probably be surprised at how much better the results you get are in alignment with what you really, really want out of event photography. Have a good one.